Mema atiefo ne ahwafo akwaba ediba koda media TV so samre medidi kachire agaya odi asempa dwumadi awato no din chirechiremu na medebere atiefo ne ahwafo samre amatena gwami asama awate na wantimu yi na medin chiremu edebere mo na ende edi kan woreba so a mesrew na wa subscribe to koda media TV dwumadi ne koso na wa like na unia bi so enya bi atie ende asembi amate na mbebe bie so akyerew minim se bia wate na mu bia wante asiye enti yewanso na mema details upon details na danko kufuado mra na owa ban mu no na yenuanom a enkramofo a woko Mecca no na obakufu bia tua 75,000 Ghana cedis 750 million old Ghana cedis na no na Omampeni His Excellency John Dramani Mahama mra obontua no okachire yenuanom kramofo no se sasika na wotua no na boya den dodo nti on de oba obetew so kra obechemme bien kra na se ne be ya wo ho be ha won nti ema ekoba se o yenua ba omi a ono ye sebe oyo kramuni a ye ne nyina na ekoma kai wanwene ye ho na so kristoni ana christian Excellency John Dramani Mahama adwen ye ho de a ena na ye nto aba mama Mahama mom na oba sasika na watew so isan se 750 million Ghana cedis enye sika ketwa timi chichiri kuro e wo baabi nti wonyina botwi na okoto aba ma yewura John Dramani Mahama na no na emprin John Dramani Mahama ababe president of the Republic of Ghana nti sa sem na okai no enche yenuami obabe ko Mecca nti na chese eso ye ho adwuma ansana ebeka echi akachi eyi na wote banum ikubi 5 member committee members bi se won ko Saudi Arabia na won ko hwesane a ho nsem kansity na wokoye no asem eside esawani na nso ka kire eno na me se yo waso na me bebo video no bomodian na ti kusi awie na hu se politicians ye de ho to onso ebeyi ana senyeyi aye koda media TV na mmekukuti video na efri SMP TV a medebere for na hwefo no
of His Excellency John Dramani Mahama and some titri ya omukama Ghana 40 ase ne bi and say the former administration under His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo failed to protect the public purse. Entino omoba ensure says our public purse no the MPP under the leadership of His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo antumi protect no omobe protect ni yie pa because omano sikasem agija omano sikasem in fact asay tikakre wo no de e wo so mo bo ho ban na story a me be kenkan kire mu yi ekwesi wo Saudi Arabia me kenkan kire wi a na wa judge for yourself say eye no kre so mo be protect the public purse and na say omo betue to no na omo asan edi ni nyafo now Alhaji Collins Dawuda ene ne Hajj task force ena aban taxi wo say omo nko Saudi Arabia na omo enkoye nhwehwemu as to the current price of Hajj pilgrimage ya omo di year campaign editia the new patriotic party now in the 2024 elections adia baako a ema the Muslim community adwene ye won tanta as to where to cast their votes to happens to be sika na under the MPP omo charge yenuanu muslimi fo na omo embark on the holy pilgrimage from this country to the holy land of Mecca sabre no na sika muslimi fo tua ansa na omanya akwanya atukwan e de akọ Mecca 75,000 Ghana cedis it was 750 million. This amount and at the NDC through their propaganda machinery a properly false message into the ears of the Muslim community say a exorbitant fees and at the MPP administration a GDF free one the MPP administration and many yenuanu Muslimi for home MPP administration led by His Excellency Nana Danko Akufo-Addo a Nebuchadnezzar administration calling the president all sorts of names drumming war songs into the ears of the Muslim community say His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, yeah, or a Muslim, yeah, representing woman, has put deaf ears to the traveling from this country to Mecca and the charging of these exorbitant fees. And it's all more bad. 75,000 one slashing into half. Ama Muslim ni bia anwa e dana kuma so say opeso otukun akomeka no atumi etu sa kwen. 2 holidays are ye nuano Muslimi fo nya during the celebration of Eid Fitr no. His Excellency John Dramani Mahama ka so odi bi besan ka ho na odi akọ na se bedwa ma na be yemra. Nti Ghana for do na agi tumi ye say eno enema ye nuano kabofo adwen ye wontanta ya mo ankasa chocho muncho. His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia Omantumi Anto Abanama. Now, interestingly, during the National Thanksgiving service, a course on the 10th of January, at the National Mosque, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, General Simpie so katre, Indian for say, Sabosa no Moshegan, or de Bayejuma, the San Inti, while Pau Abajoko Nipa Makuma Kunum, ya from the Hajj Task Force, Nipa Odenimu, Al Hajj Dr. Collins Dawuda. Asutifi South Mrasebedwani se omonko dwumadie bi a ebekoso e wo Saudi Arabia your friend on the annual Hajj conference na omonko anko ye nhwemu ne ntutu ya ebeboa amasa Hajj fees no ye 75,000 no a NPP abanja ho no ombetumi atwamu mienu ama omo atua se de omo ka ho se wo manifesto mu na omo ehye eho ebo e wo various campaign platforms. And according to the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the Hajj Task Force was supposed to leave this country on the 13th of January to Saudi Arabia to participate in the annual Hajj conference to facilitate the move to slice the exorbitant fee of 75,000 cedis charged by the Hajj board under the new Patriotic Party government. Now, Omoko Saudi Arabia no e bae no de besi ye de be the whole story ne be bremochi but omoko Saudi Arabia no cash omako blow no with regards to just this participation and inquiries to see how they will be able to slash that exorbitant fees. It is going to marvel you. A confidential document, but because of the right to information bill in some PTV and Sakasa memorandum nibi. Yeah, scroll also between your hand working kind. Now, you're back in Kamun Sam or Brofo, you differ to see a chilmu tree and chip. Omokoyam, Cow Masako Bomay. Now, for results of the buyer and look at the Echan Cano, and also making Kamasam Dutch. The memorandum is from the chairman, Hajj Task Force, Al Hajj Collins Dawuda, to the chief of staff. You like Julius Debra, copy, the secretary to the president, date. The 19th of January 2025. The subject matter was a request for reimbursement of expenses for official trip to Saudi Arabia by the Hajj Task Force. Almost say, I write to formally request reimbursement for expenses incurred during the recently concluded official trip to Saudi Arabia on the demand of the president. The trip was undertaken in fulfillment of assigned duties, and all expenditures were necessary to ensure the success of the mission. Below are the details of the expenses. The expense breakdown in your description of expenses, your cost per person, and your total cost for 5 task force members. And to the other kind, your flight expenses. Flight expenses, according to reporter Damanimi, Omo Ebuku, first class, and to cost to each of the task force member 30,451. 30,451 seats. That it was almost 305 million per person for the trip to Saudi Arabia for flying business first class. The total cost for all the 5 task force members, Ghana Boka 152,255,000. 152,255,000 255,000. That is only for flight expenses. Per diem. Per diem. Per diem. Yama, each of the task force members, $500 every day as per day. Every day, $500. And the 6 days of Mukodin in Saudi Arabia, your boka will be around $3,000. And in total, for the 5 task force members, Ghana buy Bomoka $15,000 for 6 days. That is per diem. Hotel accommodation Mukodai. Every night, and I'm saying 0 to 20, and Najubia no more charge or my Ninko for a call year $547 per night. And to 5 nights, no, and if be a born hoka $2,735. The Nipa Numuno, you know, mine bomoka $13,725. And apart from the per diem, almost signed allowance. So mutu kwine, almost jomino allowances. Apart from the per diem, allowances in which say each of the task force members edge an allowance of 15,150 million per day. 15,000 allowance per day for the 5 days. A 75,000 per each person. Multiply by 5. About total cost of allowances. Yeah, this task force. Now, they are apart from them, Saudi Arabia, they went there with their supporting staff members, including their assistants and their drivers. Yeah, no, so no, according to their domain, their supporting staff and their drivers allowances no ya mobile 5,000 cedis. No more your time. Until the supporting staff no kwa ya bomuka 50,000 cedis as allowances. Now the summary of the total expenses. Flight expenses total in your mind about 152,255 cedis per day. Or mind about $15,000. Hotel accommodation or mine about $13,725. Allowances for task force. Or mine about 175,000 Ghana cedis. Allowances for supporting staff. Or mine about 50,000 Ghana cedis. And in total, cedis $277,255. $28,725. No more say. All receipts and relevant documentation for these expenditures are attached for your pursuit and necessary action. I kindly request that the reimbursement be processed as soon as possible to facilitate the timely settlement of these expenses. Please do not hesitate to contact me if additional details or clarifications are required. Thank you for your kind attention to this matter. Signed, the Honorable Collins Dawuda. And to Dubai, Saudi Arabia, Bakunwa, Omon Konkwa Kwanye, Omani Betumia Faso, Atiti Hajj first, so Ediama pilgrims, yeah, person travel from Ghana to the Holy Land of Mecca during the Holy Pilgrimage, you know. A car, your mobile Jeffra Bible. Was our control. Now we cried the enya. Omufra control by Ghana for Obusa say, what was the result? Yeah, your book had chichi deal with. Now muntie report on the buy. Omo report and say, following the task force engagement in Saudi Arabia with airliners, transport operators, hoteliers, food and accommodation providers, which are said to be the main component of Hajj services, which consume the fees. Reality sets in as the Collins Dawuda led task force realized the true and total price package per pilgrim won't be far from the existing Hajj fare already charged by the Nana Danko Kufado's administration. ti eka bebrebe no omo boye nyina no omo koye de omo ye bia no omo se be ka kira ban ne say the reality ne say sa 75,000 cedis no sa pepe eneti enti no obi busa say when they were campaigning on these grounds say on slash into half when they were campaigning that the MPP were charging exorbitant fees when they were campaigning and calling His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo all sorts of names such as the Nebukadnezar, that say the three more dainty no person you know Muslim for to country Ghana across Saudi Arabia on the holy pilgrimage. And to say no munye any form of analysis to attest to the fact to say sanity. Let's throw propaganda out there. Ya boka the only to come and tell us say the reality shows that at the end no anon. Yenti abufu semwe saka. Sources from the Hajj Task Force disclosed that government would have to pay a heavy public subsidy for each pilgrim if Muhammad's promise is to be fulfilled. Now, I am quoting in some Momoka. Almost we had the opportunity to engage with Saudi authorities and service providers during our visit, and we can tell you that from our analysis of figures quoted, each pilgrim realistically will have to pay the already existing 75,000 cedis or even more. The only way out for the government and the president to be able to fulfill his manifesto promise and campaign promise of significantly reducing the Hajj fare to almost half is for the government to heavily subsidize each pilgrim by at least $2,000. By at least $2,000. This is a lot of money and a big headache. Al-Haji Collins Dawuda confessed. Otherwise, we cannot do it. And they will have to pay the realistic fee for us to start the process. Muntio. After so, Mako Boka Chuchi die Edemo expenses are back. Thousands of dollars, millions of Ghana cedis. Triple in action, almost I can say 75,000 no Kwana na Akufo-Addo je wo na hweya. Umbetua brosa. Na sa ban no pese. Bo se trofo no wo hye ye nuano Muslimifo no, odi so ma ne bamu a just a pilgrim be a ban no subsidize it. The list cry $2,000 and nay $2,000 and 30,000 Ghana cedis and more. 300 million and more on each pilgrim. And sana sa boss a true for no more say, you know, Muslim phone or to me. This no so no omun to me yet. And unti pilgrim be an idea so to Quacomeca Biano. On your idea so bet you 75,000 and I said, Dear Brosa, and son over to me started even the process of the pilgrimage. According to the Hajj Task Force, this new reality is being discussed with the new government for a decision to be taken before the 2025 Hajj price is announced. With the Muhammad government facing an imminent huge government subsidy to be able to fulfill its electoral promise, the force further stated that an alternative would be for the government to consider cutting down the number of Ghanaian pilgrims from the allocated 6,000 by signing up for 3,000 or fewer in order to reduce the amount of subsidy. The new Hajj Task Force has already signed an MOU with Saudi Arabia to confirm the participation of Ghanaian pilgrims in this year's Hajj. Inti adwo mo se afani bi ni se de be ya bo se no mo ko share no mani mu asinti nipa empimu nsia o ma register say this year 2025 person mo ko Hajj no o mo be fa wagadre kwan so atwa mienu amanaka 3,000 the 3,000 there and ye be pe kwan ye be fa so a ye betumi a mini $2,000 na $2,000 o mo mini eye den be ye Ghana fo sika e no be fa de aye free obi abotom free Collins Dawuda botom free His Excellency John Mahama botom free Dr. Manebo Amabotom free Haruna Idris botom. It is the same taxpayers money na because say omo ahye encontrol promise tro no person by force omo disunti ye be subsidize hoping $2,000 for each pilgrim to be able to embark on the holy pilgrimage to Mecca. Now they have started. They have started. Kwana Saudi Arabia keke say, you promise I between this sumponi. They have started. Collins Dawuda at his best. They have started. They have started. This will be to Ghana and say, or to abut the this current administration to protect the public purse. You better find some form of a hole to go and hide. Because public person already, or medical to say two. So we are waiting for an announcement officially from this government with respect to the price of Hajj. But until then, we and in your mind free Saudi Arabia confidential documents appear from Saudi Arabia with regards to a Hajj Collins Dawuda and in the high tax force I tax womo. So Monko Saudi Arabia now Omonko Eyano Babaye now the NDC's promise on ye Omo here say between Abaso and I say to Maso.